What's up, everyone, and welcome to another Bitcoin market update. In these videos, you can learn how to use technical analysis to forecast potential price movements in your favorite cryptocurrencies and also see where we are buying and selling these cryptocurrencies ourselves. So here in the monthly time frame on Bitcoin, we're looking at the monthly candle looking relatively bearish here, coming off of the R3 pivot here. The resistance here is up at about 63.2. And if we do end up coming down, we're going to be trying to set a higher low somewhere above this September higher low down here at about 98.21. So if we continue to come down here, that is where we will be looking to see where we could buy. And if we break this blue line here, which is at about 45K, in the next 5 days and 8 hours, that will confirm that this is indeed a high. A high has been set. If we close this candle above this blue line, then this blue line moves moves to the low of this monthly candle, and then the following month we'll have to break that low for us to know that this high has been set. So let's go to the weekly time frame real quick. So if we look at the weekly time frame, our main support level that we have is the weekly level down here when we had this bull trend of the low, high, higher low, and then higher high right here. So this is where people were selling their Bitcoin. We know that because it's a black candle with above average bear volume. And then we had a push above and two candle closes above this level, and obviously more subsequent to that. So if we come back to this zone, this is going to be our main support zone. If we pull up the Ichimoku cloud indicator, we can see that the Tenkin, the red line, is inside of that blue zone and is at about 34,461. So that'll be an area that I will look to go long if we do end up continuing to go down. Because if this level does not hold, it'll probably go down to this next level down here, which is at about 19.5. So if we go to the 2-day time frame, you can see that actually before we go to the 2-day time frame, weekly time frame, we had this, there's really no established trend up here. We had a bull trend, and then right here this last week negated that with a Darth Maul candle with a long upper and lower wick. And then this week opened up and subsequently traded all the way down to that low once again, and is currently trading right above that wick. We want to see if the weekly candle closes in 7 hours looking like this with decreasing bear volume or increasing bear volume. So we'll see what ends up happening with that development. 2-day time frame. Couple things to note here. First is we're bouncing off of this S1 pivot and this blue support level right here. And you can see with the longer lower wick here that this likely will end up being a short-term bottom for us to then come up and come into this first gray level. But the reason we're on the 2-day time frame is really not to look at these two levels. We'll look at those on the daily time frame. But it's really this candle right here back from April 3rd that we care about. And this is where we had a bull trend right here with our low, high, higher low, higher high with two candle closes above this high. So what that means is this is a confirmed bull trend right here. And then once this candle closes, when we get the next candle and it goes into this level, it should have held as support, but it did not and went down through it, closed two candles below this key low, which is where that pink line is. So what that means is this should be a very strong resistance level on a retest. So I have a short entry set at about 56.5, right at that low, with my stop loss above at about 59.996. If we go to the daily time frame, we can see the main support and resistance levels here. So the main support level is this candle back from March 4th. Same exact pattern here with a bull trend of a low, high, higher, low, higher, high. This candle is the candle we're looking at for support. You can see right here we ran into that, bounced off of it, ran into it here, had a slight bounce, but then didn't come up and actually form a lower high. We just kept going down. And so now we subsequently are, operating within this blue zone. If at some point we end up going below this blue zone and closing two candles below it, this will turn into a resistance zone, and it'll be a very strong resistance zone to keep an eye on for a short entry. This gray zone, though, we have closed the last 3 daily candles below. And so this is the level from back here where we had, it's just a bear trend with a high, low, lower high, lower low. And then we ran right through this and closed above it. This is where we talked about on this channel making an entry. That trade ended up trading up above, up here for a new all-time high, about 16% gain. And then subsequently, we've traded right through this level now. So this should be acting as a support resistance flip zone, meaning that it was support, but now that we've went through it and closed below it, now it should act as resistance on the first test. So the areas that I'm looking to go short on this, with my stop loss above the level right here, is the ultimate bottom of the low, which is right here at about 52.3, and then right around the body of the candle where that begins, right around 54K. If you go to the lower term time frame, for the target for that, real quick before we go to lower term time frames, we can pull up the Ichimoku cloud, and we can see that we have the cloud being very fat here. And what that means is if we come up, we hit this gray level and we close back inside of this cloud, that might end up triggering an edge-to-edge trade for cloud traders, meaning they're trading from one edge of the cloud down to the other edge of the cloud down here. So this is, both of the edges of the cloud act as very strong support or resistance. But you can see yesterday we closed inside the cloud. I imagine today we probably will close outside of the cloud to the upside, and then come up, and then subsequently probably push down into it one more time. Now, if you're a bull, what we need to see is we need to see the price come up, hit potentially this level, or here, this gray level, and then come down. But when we come down, we need to see it form a higher low above this low down here, and then come up for a higher high above this high. So if we see that, what that'll tell us is the trend, the bull trend is now intact. And now we have a confirmed bull trend that we can start to look to make an entry from that point moving forward. But if we do not get that daily trend change, and instead we see a lower high and lower low, that confirms a daily bearish trend. And so that'll then end up carrying us down with more momentum on the higher time frames as well. I don't really know what way it's going to go in terms of if we're going to go into a daily bullish trend or a daily bearish trend. I'm just waiting for the lower term time frames to give me an indication of what we're going to be doing here when it comes to the price action of Bitcoin. Let's go to the 12-hour time frame and look at what we're dealing with here. If we look at the 12-hour time frame, there's a couple zones to keep an eye on. This purple zone from back here from March 8th, this is a support zone we bounced off of once, twice, and now we're operating inside of that zone now. And then there's this black candle back here from March 6th, where we had this beginning of this bull trend. We went through this zone. Unfortunately, I got stopped out of this trade right here because I had my stop loss below it. I probably should have just put it below this low down here instead of the low of the box. But, you win some, you lose some. And subsequent to that, we've had this consolidation. We could either continue to go down from here, or considering that we're getting near oversold conditions, we could end up seeing this start to trend up here towards this yellow resistance level, which is our bear trend here with a high, low, lower high, lower low. So it's very simple when you're looking for bear and bull trend and support and resistance levels. You're looking for that trend to be established on either the bull side or the bear side to establish support or resistance. In this case, this white candle where people were buying their Bitcoin before the drawdown is going to be where most people will probably sell their Bitcoin on a retest of this level. This level goes from about 52,468 up to about 55,278 is where that is. And if we look at the 4-hour time frame, we can see that we're starting to contract here with higher lows, lower highs, and eventually this is going to break either up or down. I am guessing that it's probably going to break up, just because we've had such a sustained drawdown for so long that we're due on the daily time frame. Excuse me. We're due on the daily time frame for a little push up before another leg down if we do end up having another leg down. This daily candle right here is pretty bullish with a longer lower wick. This candle is just an inside bar, so if we break this to the upside, we should likely see an expansion into this gray zone, and then we'll see if we get a rejection from that yellow zone that's inside of this gray zone, or if we push right through that. But first and foremost for the bulls, they need to see a trend change on the 4-hour time frame with a push above this high right here and a 2 candle closes above this level. Once we see that, that's when we know that we have an actual established 4-hour trend, and then we can see if we can get some continuation up higher. The resistance on the 4-hour time frame is this white candle right here. So we shall see what we end up getting in the coming days and hours. The weekly candle is going to close in about 7 hours. So right now it's looking pretty bearish, but what I'm looking for is, if I'm a bull, is trying to see some decreasing bear volume here on the drawdown in price. So that's all I got for this one, guys. If you like this video, give it a like down below and subscribe for future educational content around cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology. And until next time, onward and upward.